All right, Matty, the recording button is pressed. Thank you very much for coming out. This is the first time we speak directly on the Decentraland topic, and I have prepared a couple of questions for you. Man, it's going to be easy going. I have like 5 warm-up questions, quick intro, and then like 5 meaty topics, which are maybe a bit heavy, but I think if there is someone in Decentraland who could, talk to those topics, I think it's you. And then in the end, I would like to ask you to make a selfie with me. If you can see from your perspective on the back of on that wall, there is already one selfie. It's like an NFT that we minted. And
I love it.
And I will send you 2 copies. I'm gonna keep 7, and it's just like, for the fun of it. Maybe 5 years down the road,
That's an NFT. You're gonna mint like 7 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool, man. No, I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Matty, so I have 5 random questions to get the juices flowing. And some of the questions, if you don't feel that you should actually answer those, please don't. But most of them should be all right. How significant?
That's cool, man. You can ask me anything.
All right. Okay, man.
Let's go.
How significant is your DCL land portfolio today?
My land portfolio at the moment is I have that 88 piece somewhere near Crypto Valley, which I'm very proud of. And then on top of that, I have probably another 30 to 40 pieces. So I'd say about 120 pieces of land.
And that includes that big chunk of land top right of the map, this huge, strangely shaped world map shaped kind of estate. Do you still have that?
Which one is that? I have one. My biggest one is only 88 pieces, and that's near Crypto Valley.
That must be the one. So this is the big one. Okay, got it.
Yeah. I've owned so many parcels in the past. Like I bought and sold probably over 1,000 lands. And so some of the lands, even though they have my name in them, they're not mine anymore because they're sold and the guy who bought them hasn't changed the name yet. So you might see that sometimes, but yeah, the ones that are mine, you can link it back to my wallet.
All right. Matty, quick reminder, let's try to keep the volume as high as possible, considering the issues that I have here with the audio from time to time. Question number 2, do you build?
I don't. I build just to show things. I don't build, like for example, there was an Axie Infinity build that I did that was simple drag and drop stuff that I had outsourced. I don't use the Blender, but I try and make use of my land or at least have something there.
Got it. Your most valuable wearable?
That's a very hard one. I know the most expensive wearables that I have ever bought have been the Barbarian suit and the whole Razor suit, and I bought the mint ones of each item, and that was like, I think I spent a bit too much on that. I spent like 60,000 mana for all 4 of them, so 15,000 mana each.
Okay. Question
But
number 4.
I would say like my favorite wearables would probably have to be the masks, because the masks were the first ever wearables introduced to Decentraland, so I really like them.
So you have a decent collection of those? You have all of those?
I have like 5 out of the 7 that can be got, because some of them there wasn't that many claimed. Like some of them there's only like 5 or 6 in the whole DCL world. And back then I wasn't into wearables, so I missed out on some. But there are some others that were more commonly claimed, like the Fox mask. So I have about 5 of the Fox masks and a few of the others.
It's so interesting that this way of thinking about wearables it's different than someone would actually talk about it if you were to join Decentraland today. Like I think I joined in April, and I just kind of was one of the last, if I want to call myself, last new OGs who kind of got to feel a little bit what was happening in the very beginning. And like now you don't actually see any of those masks. They're safely hidden in the wallets of people, and you're probably not going to see them for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of like important for us because we know the origins of it, but like all the new people, they kind of like something that looks good. I don't know if they're interested in the origins and all that. Like whatever they like, they'll buy just because it looks good, I've noticed.
Question number 4, Matty. Are you using Somnium Space?
No, I'm actually not using Somnium Space.
This must be the only project you're not using.
No, I'm not using Somnium Space. I do have some cubes though, like the ERC20 cubes. I do have sandbox tokens. I don't have any sandbox lands. And crypto voxels as well, I'm not using at all. I like the community, but I don't have any assets there.
Got it. Question number 5, and the last question for the warm-up. Did you register your voting power?
I did when we did the proposals for the wearables, but I've
So,
unwrapped them since.
so you don't, you're not committing any land right now or something like that?
Oh, not yet, but I would if there's a vote.
Because the thing is, what I realized is that if you don't actually have your voting power registered before a vote is started, you don't get to vote. And that means like if there is something important, you either have to make people resubmit, the vote so that you can be part of it. Like there is this issue, I think, I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate, but when I tried to make some research on it, I realized that it actually makes sense to do this in advance and encourage others. So then when there is a vote, people can actually get involved.
No, I agree. See, things like these, I know about them, but I don't think many people follow the DAO because I don't know how many people are interested. We're all interested in the social aspect, but I just feel like the DAO hasn't been properly rolled out yet. Like there hasn't been a blog post announcing the stages and what to do, what's important, and all that stuff. It's all kind of been us figuring out what to do. So I'm hoping they push that out. So, like you said, like this will be really interesting information for everyone to know before a vote has started.
All right. You're right. Maybe at this point in time, it's really about talking about it, creating that culture, and making people aware of that there are decisions to be made and they can be brought forward. And once there is like something, a really popular issue where we feel like there is enough engagement from the general community, then we can actually launch one and use it as a showcase of how powerful that tool could be. But let's move on. It's a heavy topic, this DAO topic. But maybe it makes people, do their homework and actually go to that section of the site and read a little bit what's available there. Matty,
Sure.
The next topic is probably gonna be a little bit even more juicy. Speaking about the future of Decentraland, it's like such a big topic, but I think there are some elements in there which require some thought leadership. And without giving you any more details and clues where I would like to take it, what would you say if someone would ask you, what's the future of Decentraland?
I think it's dependent on the kind of, I don't know, the community now. And it like are you asking me what is it going to look like or what needs to be done to make sure there is a future?
I would take both of those views. I would be just interested like how you are someone who has significant skin in the game. So when I would ask you this question, I would expect a completely different point of view than someone who just came over for an event and likes the environment, right? So in any way you see it, I would love to see the perspective, and then I will pick up from there.
So for me, I feel like DCL or any attempt at building a social online platform similar to Second Life, or if you want to call it a metaverse or part of the metaverse or whatever you want to call it, there needs to be, I think, a few things that are integral for them to survive and exist. One is funding. This stuff is not cheap to build, especially for people that want to build. If you want to build good experiences, engaging experiences, games, etc., that requires a lot of dev costs. So I feel that a big part of this is making sure that the value we're extracting from the 22 million mana per year funding that we have vested over the next 10 years. Imagine if we can get mana to 50 cents to $1. And whether it's, we get there collectively in the sense of providing value and making Decentraland a platform where the price organically gets there, or the bull run kind of pushes the price there, I just feel like $10 to $20 million in funding per year pushed through the community to people who will build games, who will build, we can even fund event specialists that come in and run events every day. Clubs, we can get DJs in there, we can start to get some really big personalities and do a lot with that funding and push it to the next level. So I think funding is absolutely key. I also think networking is huge. So for example, that's where I try and do my bit. I'm not a very good builder. I don't use my land to build amazing experiences. I might give the permission rights to someone so they can build their experiences. But I'm kind of someone who likes to network with people that have the funds and the vision, whether it's along with me or their own separate vision. For example, Game Credits, GDA Capital. Hopefully, I can get in touch with DCG and see what they'd want to do. I've got some really big art companies and projects that I'm reaching out to, some big VCs, some other big projects that are coming up, game developers that I'm trying to get in touch with, who have the funds and the interest and happily would spend, $500,000 to $1 million in building our DCL to the next level. So for me, the more of these allies that we can have on board, the stronger DCL we'll have. So funding and a network of people. I really want to go big and go commercial. So I'm in touch with some pretty high net worth individuals who can bring the connections our way. And we can maybe build them more than just a headquarter. We can maybe build them like, an engaging experience, especially if we do have a bull run and, a lot of these major companies start to accept crypto payments and blockchain, they start to look into it. We can have DCL, a matured platform where they can have an experience. People can buy their e-commerce products or their NFTs or whatever they're selling straight from DCL, and it'll be worth, because for them spending $50,000 to $100,000 on land and experience is nothing. It's absolutely tiny. They have like hundreds of millions of dollars as a budget, right? So it's kind of, for me, it's like positioning DCL to appeal to these guys, and that's why the Crypto Valley is so important to me, because at least we can have a proof of concept that, hey, look, we have this virtual valley with the biggest companies of crypto in it, and I'm still working on bringing some more projects to Crypto Valley. There's like another 10 that will be deployed in the next few months, and having that as a proof of concept and going really big to really push that, it's just a no-brainer. I don't want there to be any question where a company should deploy their virtual existence if they want to be in the blockchain space. So for me, those two are key, and I try and engage with the community as well as much as I can. But these days, I just don't have time, man. Like I'm on the phone 3 to 4 times a day, having these conversations and doing some things with them, and then I try and do the blogging that I used to do, or like the discussions and conversations. But I'm very spread thin these days, so I just try and work with my network, and hopefully the community can kind of. I just want to be one member that helps, provide my feedback to the community.
That is a humble last comment there. Yeah, I mean, I see exactly what you're referring to, and I would like to ask a couple of follow-up questions here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just an example. Let's say I have invited new prospective clients to show them a piece of land where they're considering to build a $1 million development, to invite their customers to experience their brand within a virtual reality world. And they want to be, they want to position themselves as the opinion leaders in the space, and they want to have that first mover advantage of showing off how advanced they are in understanding what the future of the web is, and they are in Decentraland. So they're using that platform, and all of a sudden, while all of their customers are about to enter the building, you have these 2 troll kids flying by the main door, shooting at each other with like self-created weapons and screaming, swearing words at each other, playing some kind of game, right? How do you combine these 2 camps that exist in Decentraland? People who want to do business and people who want to do gaming onto one single platform.
Yeah, I think this is, what's funny? We used to have these discussions before, and Iman used to bring them up all the time. He's like, man, just wait till DCL gets big, because it's going to attract a lot of trolls. This is just what happens in the virtual world for gaming. It just has trolls, and we haven't figured out how to deal with them yet, because luckily we haven't had any. And actually today I was looking at some videos of Second Life, and a lot of the popular videos were just people trolling other people and just like going on their land and being stupid, running into their classes, and then just disrupting what they were doing. So it's funny you're asking me this right now, because in my mind I was thinking, well, exactly what you asked me. What is the solution to this, right? And I think we can, there's no like hard solution to this yet. It's going to be a momentum of iterations and like trying to figure out exactly what and how we make sure that each community has their max value and is not disrupted. But I'm thinking, if we do have a business area, that's built by, say, for example, me. I use my 88 parcels to have like a business headquarters, and it's kind of my proof of concept area where I want to take people through tours and stuff. Maybe I can make it only accessible by people that own a specific NFT, and that area is, or maybe what I can do is take them to a different realm. So I can take them to a different server or a different realm, which I know that no one is in, and there's no trolls in this one because it's just not a popular one. And DCL has like 20, 30, maybe 50 realms. So we can just jump in there and I can take the people through a tour. But I think in time, once we start having big events, there'll be ways to restrict voice channels to specific people. Maybe the landowner can distribute voice rights to people, kind of like how Discord does it, because in Discord, we have streaming, and then we have, once people join the voice chat stream, they can watch, but they can also talk. So what I normally do in my Discord is I just mute everyone and I unmute the 3 or 4 people that are contributing value or are part of the discussion, and then I slowly unmute anyone that wants to contribute, and the others are just happy watching. So there's some things to do, but yeah, I think once we start having like mass events where everyone has voice enabled, it'll be very interesting to figure out how to keep them. Maybe DCL can have a quest, which if you complete that quest, maybe you're at 5 or 10 events or something. Maybe you unlock an NFT, and that NFT gives you voice rights or something.
That's a very interesting idea, actually.
Yeah, I think there's like proof of community members. Maybe we can do a proof of not being a troll or something. Some sort of mechanisms around that. And the whole NFT thing and rewarding them, it's incentivizing them with either ERC20s or an NFT, also ties into connecting that NFT to furthering their experience. So maybe people will be incentivized not to be a troll. So yeah, let's see how it all plays out.
Okay, I have 2 segues here. One is, and most people are not familiar with that, and I have just stumbled across it, and then I was not able to find it again, but I've seen that it exists. I went onto OpenSea.io and I was like, just surfing through other projects other than DCL once in a lifetime. I do that. And I went to Somnium Space, and I've seen some of the NFTs that they offer. So they have these cubes, they have lands, and then they have a third type, which allows you to buy an NFT. And when you have that, if you place it on your land, you can actually have a custom realm that you can fully customize. And when I've heard about that, I was like, okay, and I bring this up in every conversation I have here on these sessions, because I find this idea fascinating. If a big brand could buy an NFT and build up their custom world where they have the full control who comes into that world, I would say this would remove that issue of where people can build games, where people can build their own brands and their own experiences. If we would have that additional layer, and where Decentraland maybe would just be just quote unquote, a big map, a big access gateway for everyone to come in and experience other things. And I think there have been a lot of conversations around this topic. I'm certainly not the first one to bring this up, but do you see anything of that being reasonable or being anyhow like being tested, talked about already, or is this still a distant future for Decentraland?
I think we're all learning from each other, and luckily we have a team that is open to learning and seeing what others are doing. So when I'm talking to them, I'm like, hey, like this meme project seems cool. The staking mechanism seems cool. So maybe we should do some sort of stake your land for some rewards, or maybe there's some staking distribution value we can do with this new mechanism that may be beneficial to the community. And they've listened and they'll take it on board. And very soon we have this project with the meme project where we can stake mana to earn wearables, like pineapple wearables or whatever. And that will, it just plays around with the new things that we can do. But in terms of this, I did see that with Somnium Space, and I liked it. In the sense that suddenly you have this world you can buy within Somnium Space that teleports you to your own realm, your own massive world where you can build big games and stuff. It makes a lot of sense, right? I like that idea, to be honest. I think DCL can have and should have something like that. I just wonder what it would look like, because in Somnium Space's case, those realms, I think, were only purchasable on the primary market. So, for example, it was the new pre-sale that Arthur did that it was like an additional, like you had to buy a land that had that feature. It wasn't a feature that was made available to all the existing land. So for DCL's case, it's like, well, how do we implement something like that? Do we just make every land now available to have this extra space? Or do we cap it? Or like, how do we implement this? We can't have a new pre-sale, can we? Like, is a new land adding to the land pool, is diluting the overall land pool? Is that a good idea? So these kind of questions have to be answered and kind of worked through. But I like the idea of going to your own controlled mini DCL area. Who knows? There could be something we can look at later on once we are past the onboarding and the stabilizing and kind of next phase of DCL.
Sounds good. And I'd love to spend some more time on this, but let's switch gears because I still have 2 topics to cover and time is passing quickly. We're at 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about building. I know you are not a builder yourself, but this has been like one of the key topics within Decentraland. What about building? And, of course, you have the service MetaZone, which provides a solution to put up custom structures in Decentraland. Then you have the builder tool where you can try to build your own stuff. And then you have the SDK, which is really inaccessible to the majority of the retail user. True. And I've been really like sometimes almost upset on that topic because it feels like everything has been geared towards very technical users. And they don't seem to be necessarily the entrepreneurial types all the time. That means that they have the skills, but don't necessarily, they wouldn't take the risk of starting something without some kind of definite rewards. That means we are kind of in a stalemate situation where everything is just underdeveloped, even at the roadside areas, which seems to be strange after all this time. So that means the only way to counteract is really to have some kind of builder tool. Could you speak to that topic if you're aware of any kind of development in the builder tool?
Of course. All the things that you've thought about and you have frustrations with are the same things that I've thought about and I've had frustrations with. So the builder tool, like I completely agree with you. I think the SDK is something that they have focused on very, it's been one of their big things. And, it's great when people have the tools and we have enough developers that can use that. But the reality is that the mainstream audience, they can't use that. I can't use that, right? And probably 90% of people that own land in DCL can't use the SDK, probably even 95% plus. So you are right. The builder has to be a core product offering for DCL. It has to be robust. It has to be something that has way more asset packs that are geared toward building whatever you want. So even just like simple cubes with bricks or tiles, marble, whatever it is that you can stretch and skew. Maybe you can add your own rendering or your own kind of wrapping to it, whatever it may be. And the interesting thing is I'm actually working with DCL because at the end of, in mid-December, I am aiming to have a very big event, which is going to be for the artists on Twitter. And it's going to be something like build your own gallery contest, where every artist on Twitter will be able to build their own gallery using the builder, so drag and drop their own, home, their own house, however they want to make it, and add their art, whether it be just an image or an official NFT. And so this is going to be something mid-December where I've already reserved like 1,000 pieces of land where they're going to stay. I'm going to put all of these builds in these lands, and it's a part of a district, so we're just going to pre-lease it for a year. But it's hopefully going to bring the whole artist community to DCL. And this was my idea, but quickly I realized this is going to be more frustrating than successful just because the builder can't do some of this stuff, right? You add your art and it's blurry. So a lot of these things I had in mind. So I went to DCL and I said, hey, look, we got to make sure the art is high quality. You can do GIFs, you can do MP4s, you can do images. Everything has to be there. We have to have way more asset packs, ways to build roofs, ways to make stairs and really cool high quality stuff, drag and drop windows. So we need a much more robust builder. And I think they know that, but we're going to kind of time it so that hopefully it's ready by mid-December. So they have a much more robust builder where we can run a competition like this, and everyone on crypto Twitter who's never used DCL will be able to make a build that they're happy with their art in it.
Hold on.
That's the plan.
hold on, Matty. So you have this huge event coming up, and I mean,
Yep.
I've heard a little bit about it. I've heard that you're building something somewhere in the desert, some kind of amazing structure for like showing off NFTs. But this is as far as I've been informed on the regular social media. So in mid-December, this is like almost 2, 3 weeks away.
Yeah, so I'm aiming for that. It's going to be hopefully a big event. So I'm getting a lot of sponsors on board, and a lot of companies are going to be sponsoring prizes and stuff. But the whole thing is like these artists. The reality is that land is expensive, and these artists that want to display their art, are they going to spend $1,000 to buy some land? Very experimental. They're new to blockchain. They're new to crypto. They don't know what's going on. How are they going to see this as a worthy investment? So it's kind of a proof of concept area where suddenly all these artists can have their buildings, their builds in DCL. They can understand the value proposition. Their whole kind of city where all these artists are based can become like a proof of concept as to how and why this is important, especially when there's mass sharing of these galleries that they have built on Twitter, etc. And hopefully that'll build the momentum and why DCL makes sense for people that are doing crypto art. So yeah, it is going to be a big event, man. I haven't really told anyone. This is actually the first public uh, time I've said it.
Wow, man, exclusive here. Thank you, man.
Exclusive for you.
Wow, man. I mean, again, this is a topic where I could like go on for a week, and especially that you have the insights of what's actually realistic and possible, and within what time frame this is. This is very seductive, but I will move on to the next point because we have to. Right. The final juicy topic before we wrap up is really the wearables conversation, and you kind of touched on it in the very beginning of the conversation, and like we had these two fashion shows, and I think some of the outcomes visually were really good. I'm actually wearing something, you are wearing something from these creations. So, I mean, it was a success. You cannot say that wasn't good. It feels like the community had to go through this process to understand what it means and what the outcome could be, and it's amazing. But there are a couple of downsides, and one thing is the whole pricing conversation with mana being now at 9 cents or 10 cents. All of these items have suddenly become like 4 or 5 times more expensive in fiat terms, even though they weren't cheap in the first place. So what's the future of this? How can we... There are these two different camps in Decentraland. You have the creative people who would like to have maximum freedom to create wearables. And then you have the other camp where people would prefer to see this as a store of value, as a rare item that they can store value in and then resell at a future point in time for a profit. And I think both camps are totally, right about what they demand. But the problem is, how do you make them coexist? So there must be some kind of solutions to that. And I would like to maybe throw in 2 keywords: a builder for wearables and minting. Could you use those 2 keywords in that context and formulate what could be a potential future for wearables creation and minting and economics in general?
So I'm not sure if you were there for our most recent roundtable. I think it was last Sunday, so like a few days ago. Did you attend that one?
I heard that you guys touched on a topic which was highly interesting to me, but I wasn't there.
Yeah, so we talked about this exact thing. So while we were there, August was sending me some screenshots of this exact thing, the wearables builder. So we're going to have our own wearables builder where you can import your own wearable, however it is, 3D, and you can put it on, the head. You can classify it as a mythic or a legendary, etc. And I don't know the final flow in terms of submitting it to DCL, but I know on the front end, there is going to be a way that whether you have land or not, or you have mana or not, you're going to be having access to this builder, exactly like how you can have access to the DCL builder, where you have an avatar and you can put wearables on it, display those wearables, you can share it on Twitter, and people can maybe vote you in once they see that proposal. But you can put that, and you can maybe put it as mythic and then price it. And I forgot what the main way of getting it into DCL was. Like, I'm sure we weren't going to vote them all in. It was something got to do with, right. So I think they were going to go with and this is I think this is the case, but I think they're going to go with a fee. So if you want to go mythic, or if you want to submit a mythic wearable or a legendary wearable, you have to pay a fee, and that fee will be related to whatever scarcity you want. So we're not going to have people just flood the market, because if they're not going to get their money back, they're not going to do it, right? But maybe we'll have companies that will come in, that maybe really big companies like Binance or something, that want to make next set of wearables, and they'll be happy to spend mana to make mythic or legendary wearables. And maybe that will control the quality of wearables that we'll see. But this is definitely in the works. So yeah.
I must say, it's some people say great mind think alike, because the proposal that I submitted on the forum actually describes this one-to-one, and I think these two events happen in parallel: the submission of that proposal and the actual roundtable conversation you had. So it's quite interesting. It's just, there is obviously something there, because if 2 or 3 different parties come up with a similar solution, it feels like something is right there. I'm really looking forward to this. I would love to. I'm a little bit tired of hearing from the creative community that they don't have any freedom in expressing themselves, and secretly I support them. But at the same time, I would also like to have a healthy economy, and there is really nothing other than land and wearables at this point in time where mana can be actually used and applied. So I wouldn't like to lose that until we have something to replace it, right? Because mana needs to have a use case. Right now, it's more of a token, a share in the project, and I don't necessarily see it as a currency today, because there are just so little use cases for it inside Decentraland. We don't pay rent, we don't have to buy food, we don't pay taxes, we don't need actually mana. And but
tax would be good, wouldn't it? Maybe you're gonna pay tax in mana. That's the use case.
I wouldn't like to end this session with the tax.
Yeah. No, like, I just wanted to touch upon what you just mentioned, the use cases, and again tying this into wearables. I remember having a conversation with them at the DCL team, and they were considering maybe, and this is just just conversations that we have, is what if we were to are you familiar with the Engine NFTs, how they work, how you can kind of mint NFTs in using Engine, but you can connect Engine tokens to it, so it has a base Engine value?
I'm familiar with the brand. I have never heard of the mechanics of how it actually works.
Yeah, so you can do this with Engine tokens. So if you're a game developer in Engine and you have like these 100 swords that you have sold, then you can actually attach 50 Engine coins to the base value of these swords. So if any time this person that owns the sword wants to liquidate their funds, they can just melt the token, the NFT, and get back the Engine coins that were in it. So DCL might be, they were discussing, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can have people commit the mana to tying that mana to the NFT itself. So the NFT has that base value wrapped into it, and that NFT wearable, you can buy it for whatever value it is and wear it around DCL. But that can be like the payment fee that the person spends when making the wearable. And it's a win-win, because it's a fee that controls the quality, and it's also a base layer value that when you buy the wearable, then you can mint it to that value if you really want to liquidate it. So there's so many mechanics, man, we can play with.
That's so interesting, because on that proposal post in the forum, a guy called Danny commented along with Ibril, and Danny proposed exactly that kind of mechanics of enriching the NFT with additional value by baking stuff in, and so
there you go.
It feels like this is the area that is going to be probably the most exciting going forward. That that additional iteration of how wearables will interact with the economy and with the creative part of the community. It feels like maybe this was also like the first big DAO where there's enough emotion and interest for people to actually participate. I think this is the one,
Yeah, definitely. Anything wearables related will have everyone participating, I think.
Matty, I will have to wrap this up because I wouldn't like to take a whole lot more of your time. We have that strange time window between Switzerland and Australia where for me it's like still morning and you are getting into the late evening. First of all, man, thank you again for coming on and giving me that exposure that for that new quote unquote show here. Hopefully we will have decent audio quality to put this out properly and for people to, to actually listen to that information, because I think we have spoken about cutting edge developments inside Decentraland. I think it's highly interesting for anyone who is, passionate and excited about DCL. If after we click the stop recording button, you could just stay for 1 minute for us to make a nice selfie, and then this would be it. Thank you very much, man.
Cool, man. My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, and I'm very happy to talk to you and anyone in the community. I am, it's great. I love seeing people that are active with DCL doing their own thing, and I'm very supportive, and hopefully I can provide value to you guys and help in any way. But yeah, awesome work, man.
Thank you, Matty. Talk to you in a bit. Bye-bye.